Good morning to all. So in the last class we discussed about the output devices, basically the different kinds of these monitors, and then we discussed about the speakers, and then the last part of this output devices, which is the printers. We just go through the outline, introduction to the printers, and today we have different kinds of or classification of printers. Basically we have two major divisions under the printers. They are impact printers and the modern printers. So under the impact printers we have again subdivisions, basically the dot matrix printer, then the Desi wheel printer, then also the line printers. So we have three printers which comes under the topic, the impact printers. Then we have the modern printers, which is the second category of the printers, and in this category, in the modern printers, we have the toner based printers, then the liquid inkjet printers, then also we have the last one, which is the solid ink printers, and again the sublimation printers and also the inkless printers. So basically we have different kinds of printers, classification of printers, and the major divisions we can divide the printers into impact printers and also the modern printers. So basically the printer, the major use of a printer is to take the printed copy of the document or any kind of this image, graphic, etc. Basically the use of the printer is that we get the printable format, we get the printable form, not the digital form. It just converts the digital form to the printable form with the help of these printers. And also the printers are also divided into different segments, different categories. So basically the printers means that the specifications or this kind of the major use of the printers based on this kind of specifications. So basically the impact printers are the first category of printers that we have to focus on. So the impact printers, the following print technologies are either obsolete or limited to special applications, though most were at one time in widespread use. And here we have the impact printers, in which the impact printers use the electromechanical mechanism that causes the hammers or pins to strike against a ribbon and a paper to print the text. So the working principle or the major use of this impact printer is that it uses this kind of electromechanical mechanism. So the mechanism or the major principle behind this impact printers is that it uses the electromechanical mechanism. It is very important, and it causes the hammers or printer or the pins to strike against a ribbon and a paper to print the text. So this is the principle of the major mechanism behind the impact printers. It uses the hammers or pins which will be inside this kind of printer, and with that it is just to strike against a ribbon, and on that ribbon there will be this kind of inks and a paper to print the text. So with that this kind of activity, after striking on this ribbon, it is just copied to this kind of papers, and we get the copy or this kind of printed copy on the paper. So that's regarding the working principle of impact printers. And all but the dot matrix printer rely on the use of formed characters, letter forms that present each of the characters that the printer was capable of printing. So for the dot matrix printer, which is one of the earliest forms of these printers, and it uses in which the kind of this formed characters, letter forms, and all these things may represent each of the characters that the printer was capable of printing. So there is a limitation for the dot matrix printer, which is that it may only formed based on these kind of characters or these letter forms, and that represent these kind of each of these characters that the printer was capable of printing. In addition, most of these printers were limited to monochrome printing in a single typeface at one time, and although bolding and underlining of text could be done by overstriking, and that is the printing two or more impressions in the same character position. So it is a kind of technique which is used in the printers, in which the kind of this overwriting or the overstriking, which means printing two or more impressions on the same character position. And also impact printer varieties includes the Desi wheel printers, the dot matrix printer, and the line printers, that we already discussed about that, in which these are the three major divisions of the impact printers. And the dot matrix printers remain in common use in business, and some of the impact printers which were in common use are discussed below. So we have this, some kind of this, basically these three kind of impact printers that we have to focus on. So regarding the dot matrix printer, it is one of the earliest forms of printers, but it is still using in this kind of business and for this kind of some home purpose, in order to take this kind of very print in a very simple format. So that's regarding the introduction to this, or the some major details regarding the impact printers. Now we have different varieties of impact printers, which includes the dot matrix printer, then the Desi wheel printer, then also the last one, which is the line printer. So regarding the dot matrix or the dot matrix impact character printer, it is the full name, in which we call only like the dot matrix printer. So the term itself signifies, it is basically the working principle or the mechanism of this dot matrix printers is that it basically work on this kind of dots, just go through all these kind of dots, and we get some kind of bills or some kinds of these printable forms from the shops and some kind of this office, like that. So there is a significant change in the printing on the output of that printer, in which it is a kind of a formation of many dots. So the dot matrix printer, the term itself signifies the dots or this kind of things that basically based on this kind of dot matrix printer. And the dot matrix printers print each character as a pattern of dots. So it is very important, in which each character is kind of a pattern of dots. So every character which is printed through this kind of dot matrix printer should be a kind of which is a kind of pattern of dots, or formed by this kind of patterns of dots. Then the print head comprises a matrix of tiny needles, typically 7 rows with 9 needles in each, which means 9:7 matrix, which hammers out the character in the form of tiny dots. The dot pattern of each character is obtained from information held electronically in the printer, and also the quality of a dot matrix printer is inferior to that of a letter quality printer. So basically the print quality, or this kind of the quality of a kind of printer, which while discussing the topic, the dot matrix printer, the quality is very less while we compare to other kind of these printers, but we get the kind of a different variety of kind of this print with the help of this dot matrix printer. Then the dot pattern of each character is obtained from the information held electronically in the printer, which means that all these characters, all these numericals should be formed, or should be should be formed as a character inside this kind of printer. So basically it is obtained from the information held electronically in the printer itself. Then the quality of a dot matrix printer is inferior to that of a letter quality printer, but the dot matrix printers are generally faster than the letter quality printers. So there is a kind of disadvantage. Also along with that, we have a advantage of this dot matrix printer, which is these dot matrix printers are commonly, they are usually faster than the quality, the other quality of printers, and its printing speed lies in the range of 300 to 600 characters per second. Then dot matrix printers operate at 2 or 3 speeds. Then the lower of the speed, the better the printing quality. So basically we can adjust the speed of these printers, and basically if the speed is less in its number, the quality of the print should be very good in its nature. Then higher speed is for draft printing, and the lower speed is for near letter quality, which means the NLQ. Then the printing is as good as that of a letter quality printer. Many dot matrix printers are bidirectional. A bidirectional printer means it prints one line of a text from left to right, and then it prints the next line from right to left. So from left to right, then it prints from the right to the left side. So basically a kind of process taking place in this kind of dot matrix printers from a kind of bidirectional order. So it is also a very important factor regarding the dot matrix printer. So the dot matrix printers are very commonly used in this kind of early stages, and also it is very useful to take the print in a very fast manner, and also we get the quality of the print at the top level by adjusting the speed to the lower level. So that's regarding the dot matrix printer, the major points regarding the dot matrix printer. And also these printers or each characters in which the dot matrix printer which prints the document the characters should be a formation of a pattern of dots. So the dots plays a very important role in the dot matrix printer. So just relate these things with this dot matrix printer in order to focus on while we going through the examination point of view. So it is very important regarding basically to point out some important points regarding the dot matrix printer. It is very important. Then at one time the dot matrix printers were one of the more common types of printers used for general use, such as for home and small office use. Such printers would have either 9 or 24 pins on the print head, and the 24 pin print heads were able to print at a higher quality. Then once the price of the inkjet printers dropped to the point where they were competitive with this kind of dot matrix printers, the dot matrix printers began to fall out of favor of general use. So basically these kind of printers were commonly used in the home and also for the some office purpose, and also it uses some to 9 or 24 pins to print in a very good manner. And once the price of the inkjet printer, which is a kind of advanced form of this printer, inkjet printer, that we should focus on. So when this kind of price of this inkjet printers dropped to the point where they were competitive with this dot matrix printers, the dot matrix printers began to fall out of favor for the general use. Thus the dot matrix printers have a kind of a fall in its sale and the major common use of this kind of use. So after the dot matrix printer, the inkjet printer was one of the most commonly used kind of printer. So the inkjet printer, which comes under the topic the modern printers, and in this category we have only the two more topics, which they are the Desi wheel printer and also the line printers. So the dot matrix printers are still commonly used in low cost, low quality application like the cash registers, or in demanding very high volume of the applications like the invoice printing. So for the cash transactions in the bank and also for this kind of invoice printing, these dot matrix printers are very commonly used till now. And the fact that they use an impact printing method allows them to be used to print multi-part documents using the carbonless copy paper like the sales invoices, whereas other printing methods are unusable with paper of this type. And dot matrix printers are now rapidly being superseded even as receipt printers. So the dot matrix printers have a clear advantage over all this kind of this purpose, in which it uses the impact printing method, and it allows them to print the multi-part documents using the carbonless copy paper. So it is an advantage of this dot matrix printer, in which it uses this kind of impact print method, and also it helps to print the multi-part documents, which means different kinds of documents to a single layout, and also using the carbonless copy paper. So it is very useful for this kind of receipts and for the invoice bills, etc. So they are very commonly used in the early stage, and also for this kind of purposes, especially for this kind of cash receipts, for the invoice bills, etc. These kind of dot matrix printers are still used in a very good manner. So that's regarding the first category of printer. So it is very important aspect to focus on, in which the working mechanism in a very simple manner, which it uses this kind of the character as a pattern of dots, and also the major use of this dot matrix printers is that it can carry this kind of any kind of these characters which is set on these printers, and it is very useful for the cash receipts, then the invoice bills, etc. And we can control the speed in which by the lowering the speed we get a good amount of result as a good quality of print output. So that's regarding the major points regarding the dot matrix impact the character printer. Then we have the second point, which is the Desi wheel printer. So the second category of this impact printer is the Desi wheel printer. So Desi wheel printer is a solid font type impact letter quality character printer, and these printers use a print wheel, basically a print wheel for this kind of font known as the Desi wheel. So the major equipment, major component of the Desi wheel printer is this Desi wheel itself, and it is basically a kind of circular shape, and it can carry about 120 characters in that kind of this circular shape, and this solid font type impact letter quality of character printer, and it uses a print wheel font which is known by the name the Desi wheel. And this Desi wheel printers are also so named because the print heads resembles like a daisy flower. So the print wheels, or the kind of this major component of this Desi wheel printer, the print wheels, it's like a kind of daisy flower, so that this name of this Desi wheel came to this kind of typical printer. So I repeat, the Desi wheel printers are so named because the print heads resembles a daisy flower. Then with the printing arms appearing like the petals of the daisy flower, each letters of the Desi wheel has a character embossed on it. A motor spins the wheel at a rapid rate. When the desired character spins to the correct position, a print hammer strikes it to the produced to the output. Then the Desi wheel printers are used where good quality printing is needed. So here we have the working mechanism of the Desi wheel printer in a very short manner, in which a motor, the kind of this Desi wheel in which each letters of the Desi wheel has a character embossed on it. So specifically this 120 characters or above that, all these characters should be embossed on this Desi wheel, and a motor spins this wheel at a rapid rate, and when the desired character spins to the correct position, a print hammer strikes to produce the output. So at that time, this kind of hammer which is inside this printer should strike to this lecture, and it should produce the output. For example, on that wheel we have the many characters. For example, we should focus on the letter A, and if we have to take the print on the paper, and we have to get this kind of letter A. So while rotating this motor, when this letter whenever this letter comes, we have this hammer in order to strike on that letter, specifically this letter A, and it will get the output, which means the letter A should be printed on the page. So this is the simple mechanism of this Desi wheel printer, and we get the output. And Desi wheel printers are used where good quality printing is needed. So this is only to get a good quality amount of printing as the output, and it is much slower compared to the dot matrix printer. So it is very slower than the kind of dot matrix printers, and its speed lies in the range of 10 to 90 characters per second. So in the dot matrix printer we have 300 to 600 characters per second, whereas in the Desi wheel printers we have only 10 to 90 characters per second, and it is costlier than the dot matrix printers, and its font is of fixed type, and it cannot print the graphics. So there are many drawbacks to this Desi wheel printer, which includes first one is it is very slower than the dot matrix printer. Second one, the speed range is only 10 to 90 characters per second. Thirdly, it is costlier, expensive than this dot matrix printer, and also fifth point is regarding the dot matrix. This Desi wheel printer is that its font is of fixed type, so we cannot change that font. Then the last disadvantage of this Desi wheel printer is that it cannot print the graphics. So it is also a major drawback of this Desi wheel printer. So only a major important quality of this Desi wheel printer is that it can produce a good quality of print with the help of this Desi wheel printer. So that's regarding the Desi wheel printer, which is the second category of these impact printers. So it works on this principle of this Desi wheel, which is a kind of which is very similar to the Desi flower, like that, and it just uses a motor to spin, to rotate in a very systematic manner, and whenever this hammer strikes on the letters which will be on this Desi wheel, it will get the produce this kind of letters on the page. So this is the basic mechanism of the Desi wheel printer. This is also very important type of this impact printer, which is the second kind of this impact printer. And we have the third one, which is the last type of this impact printer, which is the line printers. So the line printers are they use as the like of the name implies, it print an entire line of text at a time. So we get a kind of sentence or any kind of line or graphics, we get print of a text at a time. So once we gave this command to print, we get a kind of a line fully printed on that page or any kind of document. Then two principal designs are existed. In drum printers, a drum carries the entire character set on the printer repeated in each column that is to be printed. And also another category of this line printers is the chain printers. So basically the line printers can be divided into two subtopics. They are the drum printers and also the the chain printer. And in the chain printers, they are also known by the name the train printers. So the character set is arranged multiple times around a chain that travels horizontally past the print line. In either case, to print a line, precisely timed hammers strike against the back of the paper at the exact moment that the correct character to be printed is passing in front of that paper. So here also the kind of this hammer mechanism in the line printers, and we have two principal designs of these line printers, which is they are the drum printer and also second one is the chain printer, or it is also called by known by the name trained printers, and the major important point that we should focus on regarding the line printers is that it can print about 3000 lines per minute, which means a kind of fastest kind of this printing mechanism which is used for these line printers. So it is very important, and also in both these cases, maybe the drum printer or this chain printer, in both these cases, to print a line, precisely timed hammer. So there is a kind of timing for that hammers. They strike against the back of the paper. Then at the exact moment that the correct character to be printed is passing in front of the paper. So this is the principle or the working mechanism of the line printers, in which in order to print a line, specifically a line, the precisely timed hammers strike against the back of the paper at the exact moment that the correct character to be printed is passing in front of the paper. So by doing this kind of two activity simultaneously, which means striking these hammers on the back side of this paper, and we get the result as the printer on the front of this paper. So this is the working mechanism of these line printers. And also the paper presses forward against a ribbon, which then presses against the character form, and the impression of the character form is printed into the paper. Then the line printers were the fastest of all the inkjet printers, and were used for the bulk printing in large computer centers, and they were virtually never used with the personal computers, and have now been replaced by high-speed laser printers. So these kind of line printers are regarded as the fastest of all the kind of this inkjet printers. So it can print the lines or any kind of this format in a very faster manner, while compared to the Desi wheel printer or the dot matrix printer, but it can be also used for this bulk printing in large computer centers, and but they were virtually never used with the personal computers, and have now been it has been replaced by the high speed laser printers. So the laser printers are nowadays we commonly use to get a kind of very good quality of printing. So this is regarding the line printers, which is the last kind of this inkjet printers, and it is the one of the most important, fastest of all these kind of inkjet printers. So now we discussed about the major three inkjet printers, which includes the dot matrix printer, then the Desi wheel printer, and also the line printer. And basically the technology is very common, which may be the hammer or the pin which is strike against the paper, but the mechanism or this kind of component which is used in these three printers, basically in the dot matrix printers, then the Desi wheel printer and the line printer, is very different. So we have to focus on all that working mechanism of these printers. So these are the most important three major inkjet printers that we should focus on. And now we have the modern printers, which is the second category of printers. So the second category of the printers, they are the modern printers, and in this category we have different kinds or the different types of printers. Basically the toner based printers, which is the best example for the toner based printers are the laser printers itself. Then the liquid inkjet printers. Then we have the last one, the last category, they are the solid ink printers, then the dye sublimation printers, and also the inkless printers or the thermal and UV printers. So we have about six varieties of these modern printers in its divisions, and we have first one is the toner based printers. So the toner based printers work using the xerographic principle that is used in most of these photocopiers, by adhering the toner to a light sensitive print drum, then using static electricity to transfer the toner to the printing medium, to which it is fused with the heat and pressure. So this is the basic principle of this toner based printers, which means that the principle used in these toner printers toner based printers are, we can together call this kind of this principle as xerographic printer. So xerographic, so this is the another important term while we are focusing on the modern printers, in which most of these toner based printers work on this principle, which is the xerographic principle, which is used in most of these photocopiers. And the principle of this xerographic principle is as follows: by adhering the toner, there will be a toner in this kind of these printers, and this toner should be maybe converted to or faced to a light sensitive print drum, and then using the static electricity to transfer the toner to the printing medium, to which it is fused with the heat and pressure. So there is a combination of this heat energy, then also this light sensitive kind of this drum, and also the electricity in order to move this kind of drum. So all these kind of these components are combined in this kind of xerographic principle. So basically the principle of this xerographic kind of this printers are as follows: by adhering the toner to a light sensitive print drum, then using the static electricity to transfer the toner to the printing medium, to which it is fused with the heat and the pressure. So there is a toner, which is one of the important aspect of the modern printers, basically the toner based printers, and this toner is also works as a basic component of this xerographic principle. And by adhering the toner to a light sensitive print drum, then using the static electricity to transfer the toner to the printing medium, to which it is fused with the heat and pressure. So this is the principle. The most common type of toner based printers is the laser printer, then which uses the precision lasers to cause the toner adherence. So for example, the basic example for this toner based printers are the laser printers itself, and in most of the photocopiers this laser principle is used to take the photostat. So which means that there should be a green light passing through behind the paper in order to copy the page. We give this kind of this paper in order to take the photocopy, and they may be the photocopiers, the one who controls this kind of photocopies, they just put this paper on a glass surface, in which at the bottom or the backside of this glass there should be a light passing through. So with the light it is take this kind of all this kind of data, and then it just converts to the electrical form, and we get the print as on the paper. So this is the one of the best example for the toner based printers. So it uses the precision lasers to cause the toner adherence, and a laser beam projects an image of the page to be printed onto an electrically charged rotating drum coated with selenium. So this is the working principle of the laser printer, in which a laser beam which is the maybe in the green color, and this beam projects an image of the page, and with the help of that light it just projects this the image on that page to be printed onto an electrically charged rotating drum. So there will be a electrically charged kind of this drum which is maybe rotating in a systematic manner, and this drum is coated with the selenium, a kind of chemical which is used to copy this kind of image. And the photoconductivity removes charge from the areas exposed to light, and the dry ink, which means the toner, the particles are then electrostatically pick up the drum's charged areas. The drum then prints the image onto the paper by direct contact and heat, which fuses the ink on the paper, ink to the paper. Then the laser printers have many significant advantage over the other types of printers. Unlike the impact printers, the laser printer speed can vary widely, and the many factors including the graphic intensity of the job being processed, and the fastest models can print over 200 monochrome pages per minute. So it is very a good advantage of these laser printers. And basically the working principle of this laser printer is as follows. I just repeat again. A laser beam projects an image of the page to be printed into an electrically charged rotating drum which is coated with the selenium. And this this photoconductivity they removes the charge from the areas exposed to light. So without this kind of light which is on that page, only that area we get as a copy. And the dry ink, which is the toner should be filled with this dry ink. These dry ink particles are then electrostatically picked up by the drum's charged area. So with the help of this electrostatic force, these kind of dry ink particles should pick up these kind of drum charged areas. And then there is another kind of activity, which is the last one, in which the drum then prints the image onto the paper. So picking up of this kind of image to the drum, then drum should be give this kind of print to the direct contact of the heat and fuses the ink to the paper. So with the help of this heat and also this kind of ink, both the combination of this heat and ink in a very systematic manner, by fusing these two things and by the direct contact, we get the printable form on the paper. So this is the working principle of the laser printer. Then there are many advantages of these laser printers over the other printers. So basically the first one is that unlike the impact printers, the laser printer speed can vary widely. So first point regarding the laser printer is the speed of this printer. It can be vary widely and depends on the many factors, including the graphic intensity of the job being processed, and the fastest models can print over 200 monochrome pages per minute. So here we have the measurements per minute, but it can carry 200 monochrome pages per minute. So it is one of the fastest thing. Then the fastest color laser printers can print over 100 pages per minute. So it can print about 100 pages per minute, which is the color type of this laser printer. So there are a different category under these laser printers. So regarding the fastest color laser printer, it can print up to 100 pages per minute, and the cost of this technology depends on the combination of factors, including the cost of paper, toner, and infrequent drum replacement, as well as the replacement of other consumables such as the fuser assembly and the transfer assembly, etc. So the laser printer is one of the most commonly used kind of printer, and we can get any kind of these consumables, any kind of these parts we can replace in which whenever it is required to replace this kind of drum or this toner. And the cost of this technology maybe depends upon these factors, and the important factor is that we get a good quality of print by using the laser printers, and also we can consume the time. The speed is very important of this kind of printers, and also the laser we can process this kind of color and also the black and white type of printer according to our need. And the speed is for the normal type of print, which means the black and white, 200 pages per minute, and whereas for these color printers it is reduced to 100 pages per minute. So this is the one of the most important kind of printer in our day-to-day life. We are using most of these kind of laser printers to take the printouts on the photocopiers and etc. So this means that the toner based the printer we can subdivide it to the laser printer, and also we have one more a different variety of printer, which is the LED printer. So basically the laser printer is one of the most important or most commonly used kind of toner based printer, which comes under the topic the modern printers. Then the LED printer means it is another kind of this toner based printer which uses an array of LED instead of laser to cause the toner adhesion to the print drum. So here only a change is that instead of this laser in the LED kind of this printer, it uses the LED array, LED kind of this array of light instead of laser to take this kind of print principle. So the working principle of both this laser printer and also the LED printers are almost same. Only change is that the laser, instead of the laser, LED array is used in the LED kind of this printer. So this is a very important aspect regarding the laser printer, and also the comparison between the laser printer and other printer, in which the major advantages of this laser printers, which includes the speed, the quality and the time to take print, and also the maintenance cost, and all these factors we can go through this kind of laser printers. It is a very important aspect. So that's regarding the first category of the modern printers, which is the toner based printer, and under that we have the laser printer, and also again a kind of a different kind of printer, which is the LED printer, in which the laser printers are very most commonly used in our day-to-day life. Then the second topic under the modern printers are the liquid inkjet printers. So the inkjet printers are also commonly used after the dot matrix printer, and then the laser printers came to assist. So this means that the inkjet printer is also one of the most importantly commonly used kind of this printer. So the inkjet printers they operate by propelling the variably sized droplets of liquid or molten material, which may be the ink, onto almost any sized page. They are the most common type of computer printer for the general consumer due to their low cost, high quality of output, then capability of printing in vivid color and ease of use. There are three main technologies in use to contemporary inkjet printers. They are the thermal, then the psychoelectric, then the continuous kind of this printer. So inkjet printers, we can also have different kinds of this technology, in which based on their purpose. So basically the inkjet printers have a clear advantage over the laser printer. Basically they are we can classify these kind of these topics as the advantages of these liquid inkjet printers. So they are, in first one is that they use a kind of molten material or the ink onto almost any sized page. Then they are most common type of computer printer for the general consumer due to their low cost. So one of the most important point regarding the liquid inkjet printers are the first one, low cost, then the high quality output, second one is the high quality of output, third one, capability of printing in vivid color, and the fourth one, ease of use. So these are the major points that we should focus on while going through this topic, which is the liquid inkjet printers. Then the first category of these liquid inkjet printers are the thermal inkjet printers. So here we have a working principle of this liquid inkjet printers, in which basically the thermal inkjet printers, they are most popular consumer inkjet printers that use the print cartridges with a series of tiny electrically heated chambers constructed by the photolithography, and also to produce an image, the printer runs a pulse of current through the heating elements, causing a steam exposition in the chamber to form a bubble. So this is the working principle of this inkjet printers, in which a kind of heat should be passed through this kind of chambers inside this cartridges, and it forms a kind of bubble which propels a droplet of ink onto the paper. So by by heating this kind of these cartridges inside this kind of these chambers, it forms a bubble, and this bubble which propels a droplet of ink onto the paper. So this is the principle of the inkjet printers, and the ink used is known as the aqueous, which means a water based inks using the pigments or dyes. So basically we can fill this ink according to our need in this kind of inkjet printers, and the print head is generally cheaper to produce than other inkjet technologies. So this is the one of the most important kind of this inkjet printers, which is the thermal printer. So here the heat is used to get this kind of print in a very systematic manner. Then most commercial and industrial inkjet printers are the psychoelectric material in an ink-filled chamber behind each nozzle instead of a heating element. So here the electric is the one of the most important. Electric energy is one of the most important aspect of this kind of printers, and in which the this kind of material, the electric psychoelectric materials in an ink-filled chamber behind each nozzle instead of a heating element. When a voltage is applied, the psychoelectric materials changes shape or size, which generates a pressure pulse in the fluid, forcing a droplet of ink from the nozzle. So this is the principle of this second category of this liquid inkjet printers, which is the psychoelectric printers, in which it uses the psychoelectric materials in an ink-filled chamber behind each nozzle instead of a heating element. So here we have, instead of heating, here we have this kind of psychoelectric materials, and when a voltage is applied, so with the help of this electric source, a voltage is applied, and this psychoelectric materials, it changes its shape. So this is a very important aspect regarding this kind of this printer, and it changes its shape or size, which generates a pressure pulse in the fluid, forcing a droplet of ink from the nozzle. So with the help of this pressure, it just gives a kind of droplet of ink from the nozzle, and thus the print on paper should be taking place with the same principle on the thermal kind of this inkjet printers. So basically heat with the heat which is used in these thermal inkjet printers, here we use this kind of electrical energy to get this ink on the paper. Then the third one is the continuous inkjet method, which is commercially used for making the coding of products and packages. So it is very important. The continuous inkjet method is used commercially for making and coding of the products and packages, whereas this the second category, the psychoelectric kind of these printers, they used for this commercial and also the only the industrial kind of this use, whereas the continuous inkjet method is used commercially for marking the and coding of products and packages. And in continuous inkjet technology, a high pressure pump directs liquid ink from the reservoir through a gun body and a microscopic nozzle, creating a continuous stream of ink droplets via the plateau-Rayleigh instability, and a psychoelectric crystal creates an acoustic wave as it vibrates with the gun body and causes the stream of liquid to break into a droplets at regular intervals. So here there is a kind of different category or different kind of principle which is used in this continuous kind of this inkjet printers, in which it uses a high pressure pump. So with the help of this high pressure pump, it just directs this liquid ink from a reservoir through a gun body. So there is two kind of components. First one is the high pressure pump, second one is the gun body, and with the help of this gun body and also a microscopic nozzle, the third one is the microscopic nozzle. So with the help of this gun body and a microscopic nozzle, it is creating a continuous stream of ink droplets. So with the help of these components, it just produces a continuous kind of this stream of these ink droplets via the plateau railback this instability, and then a piezoelectric crystal creates an acoustic wave as it vibrates within the gun body and causes the stream of liquid into the break into the droplets at the regular intervals. So this means that with the help of this high pressure pump and the help of this gun body and the microscopic nozzle, it produces the ink at the regular intervals, the 64,000 to 165 kind of this thousands drops per second may be achieved with the help of this liquid inkjet printers, basically this kind of continuous inkjet printers. Then from the 64,000 to 1,65,000 drops electric drops per second may be achieved, and these ink droplets are subjected to an electrostatic field created by a charging electrode. As they form, the field varies according to the degree of drop deflection is desired, and this results in a controlled and also in a variable electrostatic charge on each droplet, and also these charged droplets are separated by one or more uncharged guard droplets to minimize this electrostatic repulsion between the neighboring droplets. Then the charged droplets pass through an electrostatic field and are directed or they are deflected by the electrostatic deflection plates to print on the receptor material, which is the substrate materials, or allowed to continue on undeflected to a collection gutter for reuse. The more highly charged droplets are deflected to a greater degree, then only a small fraction of the droplets is used to print, the majority being recycled. This continuous inkjet is one of the most oldest inkjet technologies in use, and it is fairly mature. So that's regarding the continuous inkjet kind of this printer, in which it uses this pressure kind of this pump, high pressure pump, which directs this liquid link from the reservoir through this kind of gun body and a microscopic nozzle, which produces this kind of print. So that's a simple mechanism of this continuous inkjet method, and then it just converts from the by controlling at the regular intervals through the variable kind of this electrostatic charge on each kind of these droplets. So basically we have to focus on only on this kind of working principle in a very simple manner. So the kind of components which is used in the continuous inkjet printers, which includes the high pressure pump, then the microscopic nozzle, and also the gun body. So these are the major points that we should focus on, and from the 64,000 to 1,65,000 drops per second may be achieved. So this is the speed of this continuous inkjet printers. So this is the working principle or the major points regarding the continuous inkjet method printers. And now we have the three more category which comes under the modern printers. They are the solid ink printers, then the dye sublimation printers, and also the inkless printers, which means the thermal and the UV printers. So all these topics we will be focusing on the next class. So in this class we go through the impact printers and the modern printers, the first two category of the modern printers, which is the laser printer, then which is the toner based printer, then the liquid inkjet printer printers. So these are the most important category of these printers. So in the next class we will be following these modern printers, the 3 topics that we should focus on in the next class. So that's for today. Thank you. Happy learning.